And it says we're live.
Yeah, lies.
Okay.
Okay.
It's like a yellow dog.
Like a Democrat.
No.
So if you want to keep today it's the air conditioner, but tomorrow it'll be the heater. It's Texas. If you want to keep things habitable, donate here. Habitable. If you like coffee, talk to these guys. Please let them know you heard about it here. We need all the support we can get. And so far, these are the only actual corporate sponsors we have is Key Harvest. God bless them.
And they also will give you either beans or ground coffee. So,
and they'll give you they have multiple choices in the grind too.
Yeah. Yep. Anyway, December the 7th. So farts remember what December the 7th is.
Is 200 zeros a bad thing? Well, after a decimal point, no. Above Pearl Harbor, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. As a matter of fact, yes. Yeah. 70 today, near freezing overnight tomorrow. Yeah, Jesse, weather's changeable, to put it mildly. It was a day and still is a day that lives in infamy for a number of reasons. Not the least of which is the sneak attack on Pearl Harbor, the number of dead, and the fact that the Japanese screwed up in Washington and did not give warning that they were told by their government to give.
Yeah, it still would have made a difference.
It wouldn't have made a difference.
If I remember right, the announcement of state of war was supposed to come like 5 or 10 minutes before the attack.
2 hours.
2 hours.
Yeah. And in fact, it came 2 hours late.
It happens.
Yeah.
What happens when you play games?
But one of the more interesting things, and it's up on my blog if you want to go see it, Air Raid Pearl Harbor, this is not a drill, was put out. And thankfully, none of the carriers were there. They were at sea, but the battleships were in port. And the Arizona and the Utah are still in port and always will be. And there's not much we could do about it.
Nope. So, Cedar was going to have a rant. I've never heard a Cedar rant, so.
Oh, well, there's a few things in life that get me worked up. And so I was born and raised into a family of Alaskan rednecks. And they adopted my poor father, who was a city boy, and taught him how to hunt. And one of Dad's first hunts was he was taken out by uncles and cousins of mine before I was born. And they discovered that my poor dear dad, this young man, had two things wrong. One, the rifle that he had just purchased had a bent barrel.
Ooh.
And two, he is left eye dominant and right-handed.
Me too.
Which gets real squirrely when you're trying to teach someone how to shoot.
Yes.
So needless to say, Dad did not get an elk. But this and what my granddad taught me about hunting. And when I say my granddad, this is my great-granddad, who grew up during the Great Depression, and his memoir is called Confessions of a Poacher.
Yeah.
Because there was a time when he had to poach because they needed meat, and he had 5 small children that needed to eat.
Yeah.
So Granddad taught me that the preferred way to take down an animal is 1 shot.
Yeah.
2 shots is acceptable. If you have to fire 3 times, you should not be out there.
True statement.
So when a friend of ours who's just recently gotten home after a week of elk hunting.
Kermit, actually.
Yep, Kermit's in here. I'm going to tell your story, Kermit. He sent me a report that he was about to file with Fish and Game. He'd been out and very early in his week of hunting had heard but not seen a bunch of hunters making a lot of noise, which first of all is just a bad idea when you're out hunting. Learn to be quiet or don't be out there. And the second thing that they were doing, and he could tell from the rate of fire at which they were firing, was they were not using a single shot. It was a pattern of shots that could only have come from some kind of a semi-automatic rifle, which in general is just a bad idea when hunting because, again, you want to make sure that you've got your one targeted shot. So when 5 days later he found a cow elk down with very small entry and exit holes and
FMJs.
blood that indicated that she had run while bleeding out from being shot, and they hadn't even bothered to try and track her down and find her, which was the other thing I was taught, was you track until you can't.
Yeah.
Can see to can't see, and you find your animal because you don't leave an injured or dead animal just lying out there. You don't waste food and you don't waste the creature. I was brought up to respect the critters. And this is a case of, he points out, this was a case of poaching.
Yeah.
Because a full metal jacket round is not legal where he was hunting. Because of this very reason, that an animal will run a much larger distance without the stopping power of an expanding bullet once it's hit. And of course, obviously, these were negligent and inexperienced hunters, or just didn't care, which rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up hunting. I plan to hunt once I've got myself straightened out to where I feel like I can do one shot and put down a critter, because it's been an awful long time now since I fired a rifle. But that kind of thing has to be shut down hard, because that's what gives hunters a bad name and what gives leverage to shut down hunting.
Yeah. Kermit's comment was a lot of noise was a dead gum fuselage of fire. Yeah.
Yep. And it's, I know what he's talking about because, and Brennan Hankins, if he's on here, may actually know of the incident. And it's the reason that Alaskans don't like to see GIs hunting.
Yeah.
Because the GIs would go up there with their service rifles and
FMJs.
Well, no, it's worse than that. Caribou run in herds. So you got a bunch of them at once.
Like wildebeest.
Yeah.
And we, the native hunters, people that lived up there and were subsistence hunters, needed these critters for food, would go up and find a half a herd dead because somebody'd been at them with fully automatic weapons.
Yeah, Nancy, there's no indication that this was full auto.
No, just too fast
rock
to
and roll
be
on a trigger.
Yeah, too fast to be lever bolt action.
Yeah.
Was what it was described to me as. But in Alaska, it was known that they were using their service weaponry, so it was full auto. That, and you can't take down that many caribou at once.
No.
But that gave, I mean, after that, all of the military hunters coming up into the bush area where I lived were given the stink eye because we had some young, dumb idiots and they spoiled it for the rest of them.
Now, I'm from Africa. A solid, not an FMJ, but a solid is a perfectly good hunting ground. And we were talking earlier, and I was saying that 308 is kind of marginal for an elk. The elk is Paleolithic. It's marginal if you're new or don't know what you're doing. If you're an experienced hunter, 308 is not bad.
Yeah.
And I was saying that I would be comfortable using I like 7mm 8. And I would be perfectly comfortable with a 7mm 8 or a 338 Federal with a solid driving through the front shoulders, collapse the lungs, break both shoulders, collapse the lungs, and then wait. But you track it afterwards.
Yeah.
And if you got a panicky elk, something Paleolithic size, a panicky elk, especially if it's bleeding out from multiple, that's an easy track for me. For me, that's an easy track.
Yeah.
And again, it's almost certainly we're talking about inexperienced or possibly drunk. I mean, that's one of the things that you mentioned.
Inexperienced and excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buck fever is a thing.
It is indeed.
I would trust Jim with a 30-06 or Gunsmith Joe. 30-06 is the classic elk round. No, 300 Win Mag is classic elk round.
300 Win Mag. 30-06 used to be.
And you can do it the 30-30 for that. But again, this is experienced hunters that actually hunt.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I would take for an elk or moose, I would take a headshot. I know Ian disagrees with that.
I'm not a big fan of headshots. The head, it's where the central sensor group is located,
Yeah.
and it's always moving. And I've taken headshots before. I'm not a big fan of them because if the animal moves, if it hears something or smells something or sees something, you're liable to put one through the jaw or the throat.
That's true. But I've also had to track a deer about 2 miles through Arkansas hill country, which was not fun, trust me.
Well, and some of it'll depend on the country where you're shooting.
Yeah.
Because if my experience hunting has largely been white-tailed deer in heavy brush.
Yeah.
Here, which is
and-
what we have here.
Yeah, that was New Hampshire, so even heavier.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. And then the other was caribou in Alaska on muskeg,
Yeah.
which is fairly open country unless it's not.
Yeah. Because
if they wade into a stand of willow or blueberries, all of a sudden you're looking at bobbing heads.
Yeah.
So a headshot is a necessity at that point.
If I'm in a high hide, and for those high hide's an African thing.
Well, that gets you up with the leopard.
It gets you up out of predator range and you're shooting down. I don't mind taking headshots from a high hide because if you miss up or down, you're still banging the spine. If you're aiming for the base of the skull, up the back and base. If you're a little bit down, you still go through the brain. If you're a little up, you go through the spine. Left, right, you miss entirely, and you don't hurt the animal. My thing is you can ask Jim. I have given up shots, perfectly good 100-yard broadside shots on a deer because it wasn't eating. I prefer the deer with his head down eating, and then I drive one just behind the shoulders, especially with a 7mm 8 or a 30-30. Remington Core Lopt are good for this.
Yeah.
You drive and you clip the top of the heart and both lungs. And if his head's down, he's eating, he's relaxed.
Yeah.
So most of the time you do that, they fall over. Or you drive through the shoulders and they plow in, they kick in a circle for a while.
And if you miss those two spots, I will guarantee you that son of a bitch is going to run for a while.
He's going to run. There was one before Jim got here. Matt Hambright and I spent half a day tracking one that somebody else had got. And I took one look at the blood and said, that's a liver shot. And it did put a 308 right through the liver. And it took us, it ran off into a mesquite thicket. And
joy.
Holy gods, that was hell on wheels trying to find that deer. And getting it out was even worse.
Yeah. Well, and behind the shoulder is a good way to one shot any number of things. But that also means you've done enough checking to know where as it used to be called, the boiler room is with the heart and the lungs in it, because that position tends to float up and down depending on what animal you're after.
It's also, if you're looking at it, if you could look at all the diagrams in your hunter safety course on whitetail and still miss and still shoot way too high for the heart.
Oh yeah.
The heart's not nearly as high as most people think it is.
Yeah.
And it really sucks because I do love a good grilled venison heart. I really do. But I can count on the fingers of one hand how many I've gotten in the last 20 years or so.
Yeah.
Because I like to blow around. If the deer's head down and eating, I'll blow around through the heart. He or she never knows I was there.
Yeah.
But I love deer heart. I don't get to eat it very much.
Hit one with a frisbee golf. Yeah. And then the next question, what weight a frisbee disc for deer?
Oh.
Oh, damn. Kermit said the cow had at least 3 exits holes in the right chest in front of the shoulder.
Oh, what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty obvious that one ran for a
Inexperienced,
while, but
inexperienced. I mean, if you put them in front of the shoulder, that's not hitting anything.
No. All that is tearing up muscle, just muscle.
Yep. Well,
Ah.
and that's the other reason to go for a headshot. Ideally, is you're going to waste less meat.
Yeah.
And the reason that my granddad was one shot and put it down was you waste less meat.
Yeah.
Also, if they're not running, then the meat's not tainted.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the more they run, the worse the meat tastes.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing if you
Adrenaline
catch a
makes-
deer in rut.
Mhm.
Oh Lord.
It's gamey as hell.
Mhm.
Get out the milk.
Rafter says, Dad learned Subaru Legacy is the ideal deer round. Yeah.
Oh,
318 Dakota will drop them every time.
Yeah.
the
They'll run
ammo's a
about
little
about
expensive.
75 yards. So,
318 Dakota drops them every time. Just ask Kelly.
yeah.
You can put out with the Prius.
The ammo is a little expensive. I will stop complaining about $3 a round for the 444.
77 Datsun 280Z is effective too. Yeah. That thing's so damn low. Cut the legs out from under it though. And you'd be wearing that deer.
Ouch.
But here in Texas, in the lower 48, get yourself a polite rifle, 308, 30-06, 708, 250 Savage. That is a fantastic little deer round in the lower
Or that
48.
35 Savage,
35.
like Matt has.
Yeah. 444 is kind of specialized. For those of you who don't know, a 444 is a rimmed straight wall cartridge that was originally designed as a rifle cartridge for 44 Magnum bullets. Marlin brought out the 444 Marlin, and it quickly got a really good reputation as a black bear round because the 44 Magnum pistol bullets expand like nobody's business at rifle speeds.
Yeah.
They can basically explode.
So my dad carried for a bear gun in grizzly country was a 44 Magnum.
But,
Evil Child handed me a 178 piece Lego puzzle without all 178 pieces and no instructions.
Of course.
wow.
This is why I don't do jigsaw puzzles anymore because small children.
I'll tell you the various Marlin guide guns.
Yeah.
The lever action big bore 4570 450 Marlin. 450 Marlin's hell on wheels round, by the way. 444 are very, very popular with guides in Africa.
Yeah.
4570 is they consider to be wonderful lion medicine. I'm a little on 4570 for lions, but it's not my business.
I will tell you that those are all calibers that my cousins who are big game guide hunters in Alaska would carry.
Yeah.
But they were generally going after slightly larger game.
Yeah. 2008 Chevy Trailblazer, not effective at 25 miles an hour.
No.
Deer bounced off the front, landed on his feet, and then ran off. Yeah. That happens too.
When Dude ran off to the bar to have a drink and tell the guys, you ain't gonna believe what just happened to me.
Yeah.
I've gotten got the urge. Somebody has a Winchester 1885 low wall, single shot falling block rifle, 357 Magnum, and it looks like it's not been well taken care of. Bore's rusted out. The stock looks like they use it to hammer in tent stakes, and there's a little part of me, a very small part of me, wants to snag a hold of that. Tear it down, redo the stock with tung oil and polishing compound, and then call Douglas and get a 256 Winchester Magnum barrel.
Oh, yeah.
256 Winchester Magnum is a 357 pistol round, neck down to 25.
Yeah.
And that would scratch my gunsmith itch.
I've got an original Winchester 86 4570 my grandfather carried. Yes, it has the octagonal barrel sitting in my cousin's safe right now. No, 300 blackout with a suppressor doesn't work, Jim. If you shoot it as a suppressed round, it does not have the takedown power. This is an argument we had on Tuesday.
I was thinking, this is deja vu.
Let's not go there again. Hey, James.
300 blackout.
It's a pre-1903. It is an 86.
Standard blackout's great for taking down terrorists.
And that's about it.
Um, I have this urge. Me and Gunsmith Joe have been talking about the new American carbine. We both agree that the classic American carbine is a Winchester 1873 in 30-30.
Yeah.
Lightweight, medium caliber, good for anything lower 48. We've been wondering how to make the modern American carbine, and we're in a civil debate right now. He wants to run a lightweight detachable box magazine bolt action in 350 Legend.
Yeah.
I want to do it 300 Hammer. Either God's honest truth, either one would be great.
Yeah.
It's a light, handy little carbine, good for taking out anything in lower 48.
Yeah, Kermit, it may be more ballistically stable, but you're not going to have the penetration power.
Carbine, you're right, 1894, my bad.
41 Magnum, yeah.
The classic 30-30 lever action is the American carbine. It's the classic American carbine. We were wondering how to update that for the 21st century.
Yeah, Winkle Red. Great quote OG round.
All ground.
Dog, hog, throg.
Trogs, troglodytes.
Yeah.
But I
here we go on guns again. This is twice this week.
I'm a big fan of 7mm because it's ballistically identical to my beloved 7x57.
Yeah.
Which is hard to find in the States.
Yeah, but I've got my 308 and my 30-06 memorized out to 1,000 yards. So
yeah, Jim's got this 30-06 that he's in love with, and 30-06 is a good round. 30-06 is a damn fine all-around round. It really is.
Well, if you had that thing and you were lusting after it,
it is it's a classic.
It's a Model 70, 1940, 5-digit serial number.
And a 30-06 is a great hunting round. It really is. I like the 7x57.
Kermit, you can always go back and listen.
So if I want to derail you guys, I should bring up jeans and grease fires.
Jeans. Oh, jeans. I was thinking Wrangler or Levi's. Oh. Yeah. Well, my mind is.
Yeah, no black tips when hunting. Yes.
Oh no black tips when hunting.
I have some of those laying around.
Ruger 77, 9 liquor stock, and 7x57. I do love the 7x57, but finding ammunition for it, especially soft point cutting edge, which is classic. 173 grain soft point cutting edge 757 has done for several hundred elephants.
Yep.
But the 708 is ballistically identical, and you can find it in the States.
Your comment about finding ammo remind me. Buddy of mine's dad came back with a 6.5 Swede that he had engraved in Germany right after the war. And this rifle, absolutely friggin' beautiful. But he had one box of rounds with it.
Oh no.
And he's whining about the fact he couldn't find rounds for it. So I jokingly said, hell, go to the gun show, walk up to the first ammunition dealer, and the son of a bitch will probably have rounds. So we went to the gun show that next weekend. He walked up to the first guy inside the door that had ammunition on his table and says, "Hey, you got any 6.5 Swede?" The guy goes, "How many cases would you like? 2?" He says, "I'll even throw in a set of training rounds." This guy, somewhere or the other, had found original wooden bullet training rounds.
Oh, wow.
For 6.5 Swede from early World War II.
Well, it's just, I mean, it was in Europe, the 6.5 Swede is basically a 30-06 just with a European accent.
Yep.
There was
that little son of a bitch kicked because it was light.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, that hurt.
There was one of my classic examples of law enforcement dumb. I had a chief deputy, And he had a 1911 Chamber 41 Avenger. And
Oh,
the 41 Avenger was basically, it was a 45 Super, neck down to 41, cut down to 45 ACP, then neck down to 41.
Yeah.
And it's a great caliber. It's a Wildcat.
yeah, think?
Yeah, it's a great caliber. He had purchased this 1911 and 41 Avenger and 50 rounds of hand-loaded ammo.
Yeah.
And when I saw it, the 50-round box had 43 rounds in it.
Yeah.
Because he didn't reload, he wasn't going to shoot it.
Yeah.
And when he had to shoot it, 170 grains at 1,200 feet per second sounds really good if you can put it in meat.
Yeah. But that will give you a flinch and then some.
Oh, it was a nice piece of work. I mean, practiced with it. The 41 Avenger's it's not that much snappier than a 45 ACP.
Yeah.
It's 170 grains.
Well, the 45 is not snappy. 45 is a push.
Yeah. The Avenger's a little more snappy
Yeah.
than, but it's for police work, 170 grains that is perfectly, 41 at 170 grains is a really good little round for police work. He just wouldn't shoot it because didn't reload and couldn't find ammo.
Steve, it depends literally on who the shooter is.
Or else use for elephants.
Yeah.
The minimum, in most countries in Africa, the minimum is 375 H&H.
So we're doing religious wars today.
Yeah.
Oh, no, this is legal.
So
the
Kilimanjaro Bell,
Karamojo Bell used 7x57 and headshots.
257.
Well, yeah, well,
He had
it
257 also,
was a 275
or 275. Yeah.
because the 275 and the 7x57 are the exact same damn round.
Yeah.
But most countries in Africa, legally, the minimum size you can hunt any of the big five with is 375 H&H.
Yeah.
Some will let you do a 9.3 by 60, 9.3 by 62.
Yeah.
62 or 63. I forget.
62.
62. It's a
Yeah.
decent little round. It's basically a necked up 30-06 with a German accent. I would say start with a 450 and go up from there because and practice because
Yeah, a lot of them, and RK is exactly right. Double rifles.
Yeah.
And 450 nitro, 500 nitro, 600 nitro.
416 Rigby, 450. What's the 450? I forget what the 450 blast the surname of the
I can't remember.
the 450. 375 you can start with, and most people can shoot a 375 fairly easily. I don't like them, but most people can shoot them fairly well. Don't
577, 415, yeah.
the 450 a lot.
Yeah.
What's his name? The Speed King, Weatherby.
Yeah.
Weatherby had some Africa designed rounds.
The problem is,
Most people aren't going to practice those things enough to be good enough to go after go after buff or elephant or even rhino. And I don't understand shooting rhinos. It's basically a giant bush puppy. They're big. They're stupid. Oh my God, rhinos are stupid.
yeah.
But it's basically a big bush puppy. If they're not jumpy, just step out of the way, scratch them behind the ears, and it'll circle around. Just keep scratching them behind the ears.
Now, water buffalo is a different story.
Cape buffalo or water buff, screw that. Wildebeest, screw that.
The thing is, in all honesty, Steve, it's the recommended versus the pros that actually, again, know what they're doing. They've studied the animals they're going to go shoot. They know where to put the bullet, and they know they can do that. Whereas the average
American professional hunter sucks.
Yeah, the average hunter, buck fever's bad, elephant fever's worse,
And
rhino fever and water buffalo fever's worse than that.
The thing is you got buck fever, and then you've got I'm 100 yards away from a lion.
Yeah,
and that's a kind of fever that
is an innate biological urge
Holy
to
shit.
be terrified.
holy shit. And that's why most of them will hit the lion in the ass end. Most people will most first time hunters in Africa smack the lion in the ass end, and then the professional hunter and any buddies he can call have to go into the bush and get
Yeah.
the lion.
Can't afford the ammo to practice. And the other thing is, quite honestly, the recoil flinch that they developed shooting them.
Yeah.
We had was a 418 Rigby that got brought to 416 Rigby, 6.5 pound rifle
Yeah.
that got brought to Bloggerado a few years
That
ago.
was a one time only.
And it was shootable once.
It rattled my teeth.
Yeah.
And I'm from Africa. I know I had big rounds where I was fully grown. And I don't like the one. I'm not a big fan of hunting elephants because, and don't get me wrong, nothing you hunt in Africa is going to waste. I don't care what PETA and the rest of the enviroweenies say. Ain't nothing in Africa going to waste. If you smack an elephant, there will be a herd of natives with machetes on the elephant before you get there.
Yeah.
Trust me, nothing goes to waste. But elephant meat isn't that good. Giraffe meat sucks.
Yeah.
Hippo meat's good, but you got to kill a hippo first. Hippo meat is done right. Hippo meat's great. And I don't eat predators. Predators have a parasite load that has to be seen to be believed.
Yeah.
I'm going to go after gazelle. If I thump something, I don't want to run from it. And that leaves out lions and damn sure Cape buffalo, elephants. Cape buffalo and elephants, you hit one, you don't kill it, it's going to come get you.
Yeah. Yeah. And it can live, up to 10 minutes after its heart's been blown apart. Just long enough to kill you.
That we know of. I will guarantee the damn things will live longer than that.
Oh, that's good news, Sir Brass. Outback is still drivable. That's always good. Oh, speaking of filet mignon, interesting. COP 28, which is the.
Oh, ha.
Yes, I'm going to go there. The climate conference that's currently being held. On the agenda today was apparently what they call responsible yachting. Yes.
This is a concern for the rest of the world because
Yeah.
Responsible yachting?
Yes.
As in the big boats.
Yes.
Yes.
Responsible yachting. Okay.
Yes. As in how they could be better prepared and more environmentally friendly,
The sea's gonna kill you. That's
et cetera, et cetera,
That's
et cetera.
about as environmentally friendly as they get. The sea's gonna kill you.
And
Deal with it.
do away with those nasty reciprocating engines and go with batteries and wind power.
isn't that called a sailing ship?
Are we going back to the age of sails again?
I mean, the stupid thing is that really cool rescue just recently where
Yeah.
somebody was out on a little, I forget what it was, small
Yeah.
boat, had to be rescued by a sailing ship, which honestly, the whole image of suddenly ship under sail looming up out of the fog and people going,
Yeah.
but that particular sailing ship was required to have your reciprocating engine
Yes.
aboard for safety reasons.
It has a big Volvo diesel on it for that reason, to be able to maneuver.
I'm just
And also,
I just
having sailed in the big pond, or little pond actually, it takes a while to get anywhere.
battery power. I'm just thinking of all these lithium ion engines lithium ion batteries surrounded by miles and cubic miles of
Salt water, yes. Yes.
Fire!
Fire
Of
the
course,
Let
business
there be
out.
fire!
Also on the agenda today, apparently, was Wagyu beef.
Because again, these are things that the peons need to be worried about.
Yes.
Wagyu is just not like one of the main multiple things that COP28 can eat a big bowl of dicks for is their announcement that speaking of eating meat, about the everybody needs to cut back their meat consumption.
Yeah.
I can't eat enough meat to make up for you guys. Knock it off.
Did you see the one comment yesterday? The guy was apparently coming out of Geneva for something and looked down and they had balloons on all the cows' asses. They're apparently conserving and capturing methane direct from the cow.
I've worked out.
I have
Yeah.
seen designs for a barn that would catch methane. Of course, there was a very large barn somewhere here in the U.S. that blew up recently because of the
Because
methane.
methane is
Yeah.
explosive.
Yeah.
I have this mental image.
That was, and I think it was Mother Earth News.
Yeah.
In like the 1970s, because methane could be used as a biofuel.
Yeah.
So they were like, let's collect the cow methane and pipe it off and use it to power things.
Collect, yes.
I have
well,
this
I
mental
mean-
image of this grizzled cowboy with the horseshoe mustache and the neck wrap and the aches of being in a saddle way too long with a balloon, a gallon of super glue, and a staple gun.
Yeah.
And that mental image will not go away.
I'm not drawing that.
I ain't believing I can do this shit again.
I've worked cattle. How the hell do you get them to stay
Don't ask.
still long enough to put a latex balloon diaper on them?
And how the hell are you going to keep the tail out of the way long enough?
Gallon of super glue and a staple gun.
And a bolus of ketamine, evidently.
I am too old for this shit.
Why
I'm
not
too old for this
capture
shit.
the human methane? A lot more of us than cows. Yeah, that's true. Some people,
And then I've got this mental image of all these cows on the high plains with these balloons full of methane bouncing off their asses. And then a blue norther comes through. And you find your cows in Lubbock or El Paso because
I'm
those
guessing,
big balloons caught the.
yeah, I'm guessing, Rick, you've got to pinch it off and pull it off.
Without the context of the chat, that no.
Rick says, and how do you collect what you've captured?
I don't know. It's just,
Are we gonna hook the cows to a pipeline? I mean,
cows are stupid critters to begin with. I can't imagine having a balloon bouncing off its ass that you don't wind up with multiple stampedes.
Yeah,
There goes the herd.
here comes the herd back.
I say a good solid wind.
Mikhailo says use the stump broke ones. Oh. Oh.
You're gonna have to stump break every cow in your herd.
like we broke a gym. Speaking of breaking.
Wally says, I do have time to work this into my steampunk story.
Chance Cobra, you guys are weird. I like you. No, it's whoever decided they want to staple a balloon to a cow's ass. That's the weird guy.
Yeah.
And the cowboy said, all right, I'll try.
Some freaking scientist somewhere.
With the tail, super glue, balloon,
Yeah.
There's a
staple
reason
gun.
that we stopped using hydrogen for lighter than aircraft. Substituting it in with methane and cows is just wrong.
Yeah. Cow tipping, no.
And what happens if you get a back blast?
Yeah.
Cow's eyes get real big.
Oh God. I am trying to draw. And not that.
That could be an interesting
Dragon
burp.
fighting box knocking. And if you haven't seen it,
Can you imagine the noise if one of them gets loose? And you know there'll be cowboys that grab it and they pull it so it make the
Yeah.
the
Yes.
squeal. I know cowboy. I was a cowboy.
And once there goes the herd again.
got mountain lions in 6 different counties going, what the hell was that?
Just had kazoos. Some people find them in the dark.
And can you imagine mama cow?
Yeah.
When you've snaffled up her calf and you're about to brand it. Here comes mama cow, balloon, boing, 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 runs across the fire.
Yeah.
And mama cow is 3 counties away. What
Yeah.
the fuck? This is
Well
not a good
done.
this is not a good idea.
Reminds me of, oh God, we're not going there, Greg. Tim Conway's story about the monkey swinging on the 2 elephant trunks. No.
I'd forgotten about that. Oh my god, I love that.
Oh, that was one. Carol Burnett and
It was Carol Burnett and Vicky
oh, what was Vicky's last name?
Vicky and Dick Van Dyke.
I thought it was Harvey Korman.
Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah, you're
You
right.
sure
Dick Van Dyke.
you sure that little asshole's through yet?
Yeah.
That Vicky Lawrence.
Vicki Lawrence, yeah.
And wiped out everybody.
Yeah. Once these, the other's eyes would get real big.
I
Yeah.
forgot about that. That's probably where I. But getting back to the comment about filet mignon, that is the most overrated cut of meat on a cow.
Yeah, I know.
Granted, it's tender, but there's no taste to it.
That's why they wrap it in bacon.
That's why they have to wrap it in bacon, and they have to put a crust on it. Which I know the filet mignon is such an overrated piece of meat. Granted, it's tender. Yay, tender.
Yeah. Some people like it, some people don't.
Get yourself a good flat iron or a New York strip or a ribeye and drive on.
Oh yeah, Vicki Lawrence talking about the setup and Tim Conway torturing him. Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, he used to do that on the regular. Apparently,
Well, he and Corman always had a thing going of who could break Carol, and she was harder to break than Vicki Lawrence was.
Well, the thing is, apparently, according
Kind of
to
like us trying to break Ian.
Yeah.
apparently during the rehearsals, he was dead nuts on.
Yeah.
And then the rehearsal 1, rehearsal 2, he was on time, on target, perfect.
Yeah.
And then when it was ready to go live, he went off the rails.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the fun of improv is letting
Yeah.
loose and seeing how to make your audience laugh. And if it's just you and your coworkers, then
Yeah.
well, they're your audience.
Oh yeah, the other one was the inept dentist.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Poor Harvey. He was trying so hard. And there was the one with
All
the,
these clips are available, by the way, folks. They're on YouTube.
the one with the ancient fireman.
Yeah.
Fireman or doctor? I forget. And Harvey Korman was trying so hard to take care. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
and he couldn't do it. But yeah, filet mignon is not bad. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad, but it's not worth what people charge for it. It really isn't.
Yeah.
Get a flat iron or a Denver or a New. You can't get. I tried to get flat iron at the our butchery in Wichita. I tried to pick up flat iron steaks the other day. They've got picanha. I bought picanha, $7.99 a pound, by the way.
Mm.
Oh, it's not bad. You may have to go look for that.
But they don't have any flat iron. It got popular. Some
Here we go again. It's like brisket.
some internet what the hell adjuster? No, what the hell they call it? Influencer.
Yeah.
Some internet influencer was going off about flat iron steaks. Now they can't keep them on the. It's like, are you serious?
Yeah.
They're going to be ruining the flat irons.
Yeah. Searing meat at 500 degrees on your grill will get a really nice chunk of meat. Yep. You're probably right, Sir Brass. Probably some damn New York carpetbagger.
Well, there's a lot of cooking shows on TV these days, but there are also a lot of people on YouTube doing
TikTok.
different things.
Yeah.
Well, YouTube, TikTok, it depends on whether you're talking long form versus short form. TikTok, short form.
There are
Influencers are attention whores. Yes.
no kidding. There are several short reel cooks I watch. Pepper Belly Pete's one of them.
Yeah.
I love that guy. He's weird as a tick, but I like him.
Yeah.
And there's this the gentleman, I don't know where he is. He always winds up by throwing the the towel at the camera. But
Yeah.
he's a hell of a kitchen cook, and these guys are all in their kitchens.
Mhm.
And most of them are just, I won't say good old boys, because
Yeah.
half of them are not the required complexion to be a good old boy, but they're good old boys.
Yeah.
And they're in their kitchen, they're cooking and showing people how it's done. I love those guys. But there are some idiots that get a hold of something and they ruin it for everybody else. Now, I have the sneaking suspicion that flat iron steaks is one of them.
Yeah.
I was watching this guy today. He's making tamales. And
Oh, that reminds me. I got to order tamales.
this kid he's probably in his 30s, and he's in a pretty decent kitchen. And he's struggling because his stand mixer wasn't doing what he wanted to do to incorporate the hot broth into the well, actually, you don't use hot broth, the broth into the whipped lard.
Yeah.
And so he gives up on it, and he gets out the old school hand mixer with a whisk. And the lady that's doing the camera work is giggling her head off because he's just spatters everywhere. It was a mess.
This is the Courtney, who's in the studio, in the shop with us right now, points out in comments that meat is no longer cheap, and she is not wrong.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons that
Well, let's see here. I picked up about 15 pounds pork yesterday for $1.50 a pound. Hamburger I picked up at $3 a pound because God help us, that's the cheapest you're going to find hamburger these days.
Yeah.
And I picked up boneless, skinless chicken breast at $1.99 a pound, and all these were sale prices. And I can usually still reliably find chicken legs and quarters for less than $1 a pound.
Yeah.
But it takes work, and it's one of those things that when you do see them on sale and you know
Snatch
what
'em.
the prices
Yeah.
are, you pick them up and you throw them in the freezer.
Yeah, one of the things
So-
one of the things I've got to get for 2020. There's two things I've got to get for 2024. One of them is I got to, and one is I want to. The I got to is a chest freezer.
Mm-hmm.
Folks, if y'all don't have a chest freezer, get a chest freezer.
Yeah. Yeah, my son is getting ready to move into his first apartment sometime in the next couple of months, and that's his first big thing that he wants to buy for himself is a chest freezer.
Get a chest freezer, because you can still, thank God, here in Texas, you can go to a rancher and pick your beef.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You go to a processor and pick your cow, and it's still fairly cheap.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money up front, but you get a quarter or half or a whole cow. And
Well,
second,
the problem is it depends on who's doing the butchering.
well, that's always the case.
Yeah. We got screwed on the last one we got.
The one at Nakona,
Huh?
the one at Nakona.
Yeah.
Well, Fisher's is getting back to that. And I've been to Fisher's before,
Yeah.
and Fisher's is good.
Yeah, and I think the last thing we talked about was going to Red Barn with
Yeah.
a bulk order
Yeah.
of the
Red
cuts
Barn,
that we
yeah.
wanted, rather than having all the oddball stuff.
Well,
in
they
there.
do boxes. Red Barn. When I was in there
Mhm.
buying the last meat
Yeah.
run, they're back to doing boxes. You get a box, and that's a fantastic. It really is a
Yeah.
good old deal. Second thing, my want to is I'm going to get a Browning X bolt in 708. I'm going to slap an M Carbo trigger group in it, and I'm going to start filling a freezer with hogs and deer.
And when you run out of room, you can sling them in mine.
Yeah.
Will. I will. Because the Super Combo hunting license is still $68.
Free for me.
It's free for him.
Yeah.
It's a Super Combo hunting and fishing license is
Oh, the cutest thing. So I follow the Oklahoma Wildlife Department
Oh,
on
I love
Twitter
that guy.
because
I love that guy.
whoever is running that social media thing is brilliant.
Yes.
She's just, I love the humor.
He or she is fantastic.
Right. But the latest one was instead of an engagement ring, because that might just be too romantic now, is buy her a lifetime fishing license.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
the comments that I have seen, because it went viral and it's all over
Yeah.
my Facebook, and the comments that I have seen vary from a multiple women in one thread in one humor group of, well, that's a way to get broken up real fast. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I saw that and I went to look up and see if Texas has lifetime
They do.
licenses. They
Oh, yeah.
do.
They sure do.
And then I told my husband how much they were.
Yeah, Sir Brass. Good point. Vacuum sealer is also a must.
Yeah, that's a good
But
one.
my only thing was hunting license,
Mhm.
lifetime hunting license.
Lifetime
Rita
hunting
would actually probably thoroughly enjoy a lifetime hunting license.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that was what I hinted for my Christmas present. That was more than a hint. Okay.
But the year-long super combo, which is hunting and fishing, $68.
Mhm.
And I can, if it's a gun, I'm going to customize it. So I'll grab a 708 to stick an M Carbo trigger group in it because I've got to tinker around with my guns. And then I forget how many whitetail are on a Texas Super Combo hunting license, but there's enough whitetail on there, whitetail and turkeys, to feed a family of 4 for
I think
a
it's
while.
9.
Something like that.
My problem is that I would like very much to go hunting, but my problem is where.
Right.
Texas is not actually all that hunter friendly.
Yeah, sadly true.
So, I mean, kind of what I'm doing right now is looking at, I can't do it for probably another 5-6 years, but my goal is to buy 10 plus acres somewhere so I can go hunt over my own land, which will require probably traveling a fair amount because cheap land ain't around here.
Well,
And
if you have an inn, and we do, you can find, because the majority of Texas is private land, and they get to decide what happens as it's right on their land.
yes, absolutely.
So if you have an inn, and we do in a couple places, especially if you find a smart landowner and you tell them you'll get the hogs.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, again, with coming back around to my earlier rant with asshole hunters, this is what they ruin for other hunters.
Yeah.
Because they'll go on to people's land and muck around with the land itself, crops. I mean, so New Hampshire's diametrically different. New Hampshire actually offers a huge tax break for your land to be in what's called common use.
Yeah.
So unless the land is actively marked no trespassing, you can go over it. It is considered polite to notify the landowner and to ask permission before you hunt over it. And the other thing that's illegal in New Hampshire is breaking down rock walls. They're historic and they're not to be touched. Dad and I had issues and actually wound up having the cops come and camp out on our land for a while because we had a bunch of kids with four-wheelers that were breaking down our rock walls and running through our sugar bush because they wanted to go from pasture to pasture and with a rock wall in the way, because that's what delineates a lot of land markings in New Hampshire is there's rock walls, and that's what
makes sense.
But so they were taking down part of the rock wall so they could run through it with their four-wheelers.
Idiots.
Yep. And they got in big trouble because that hits all kinds of fines. Somebody's daddy wasn't happy.
I hope they made them come back and put the damn wall back up.
No, we did that because we didn't trust them.
Did just do it right.
Yeah.
Well,
it's got to be laid specific.
Gunsmith Joe has family. He's from Nebraska. He's got family in Nebraska, and there are a lot of folks. There's a lot of land up there. That he can let us hunt on.
Yeah.
And Nebraska whitetails are monsters.
Yeah.
All that corn.
Well fed.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just getting ready to say that, Johnson.
Purple paint
on a fence poster.
No trespassing.
Yep.
There's no trespassing in Texas.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware. I am real cautious because I'd like to be able to just. I mean, I struggle even being able to take a walk.
Yeah.
I'm used to being able to have places where I could go and just walk with or without my camera. And that's difficult to find here in Texas without traveling quite a ways to go to like the state park and hit trails.
Have you been out to Lake Buffalo yet?
I have not.
Damn, Kermit, I didn't realize they'd gone that far. He said New Mexico now requires a written landowner permission or the owner there, or else it's poaching.
A lot of states are going that way.
Yeah.
Last time I hunted New Mexico, well, hell, that was 20 some odd years ago. Never mind.
Yeah. But again, with the asshole hunters, I mean, this is why they're spoiling it for everybody else because too many hunters are not being respectful of the land or the creatures. And I mean, as a landowner, I don't blame them one little bit. Mm-mm. And if I wind up buying 20, 30 acres that I want to hunt over, I don't want anybody else out there hunting over it.
Sir Brass asked, what's the problem with Texas hunting or hiking? It's all private land.
Yeah.
99% of Texas.
I don't want to get out on somebody's land, even accidentally.
99% of Texas land is privately owned.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And in this area, the private owner is generally what's left of the Wagner's ranch, and Wagner has a zero tolerance for trespassing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really.
Yeah.
real
What is that
careful.
asshole's name? He came in and voided all the 99 year
Stan
lease.
Kroenke.
Huh?
Kroenke.
Kroenke, yeah.
Stan Kroenke.
Yeah.
Owner of the San Diego Padres.
He bought a big chunk of the Wagner and then voided everybody's 99-year leases.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So it's just I am very aware that most of it's private land and that people will defend their land as they should
Yeah.
be able to. So I'm just very cautious, and that makes it quite a bit of a limitation because I'm
Yeah.
not going to
My issue is
explore.
Yes, Wally. He owns the Arsenal over in England and the Rams. Yes.
well, one of my issues is Rita's really twitchy about chronic wasting disease.
Hmm.
So she's not going to eat any venison from an area that might have CWD.
Yeah.
So I've got to be real careful where I hunt.
I
A
didn't
lot
think
of
it was
a lot of
here in
South Texas
Yeah.
right
Oh,
Oh,
now.
is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in the Panhandle. It's been found in the Panhandle
Yeah.
and West Texas
And South
and
Texas.
South
Well,
Texas.
I mean, I
And
can't
it's
say-
also in the
Yeah.
hogs.
Yeah, and as it's a prion disease, there's not a heck of a lot you can do about it.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
So
It's
I
best-
mean,
there's
that
nothing.
is not something you want to mess with.
See, chronic wasting disease is and it's a terrible way to die. Deer with chronic wasting
Yeah.
disease is just a terrible.
I saw one time. We were
Yeah.
out near the Cumberland Gap and driving up a little narrow switchback road, and I looked over and there was a doe standing there, and it was skeleton draped in hide.
Yeah.
I'll thump a deer with CWD and give up that tag if I have to, because that's no way to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah. The problem is that they're not being taken out. Remember what happened 20, 25 years ago, Texas, where they outlawed shooting spikes.
Mhm.
And they figured, well, if we outlaw shooting spikes, then they'll grow up enough to have real horns. It didn't happen that way. And about 3 or 4 years later, and this is back in the early 80s, they came out and basically said, consider a spike a doe.
Yeah.
If you see one, shoot it. It'll
Well-
count as a doe because we need the spikes out of the population.
One of the interesting things about chronic wasting disease, it takes so long to show up that you get Johnny Redneck decides that he wants to better the gene pool of the deer on his hunting land, and he'll go up to Missouri or Kansas or Colorado and snag a whitetail
Yeah.
up there, one of the big broad bucks. Bring it down here, it's got CWD, but it doesn't show for 15 years. So then next thing you know, his entire herd's got it.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that will lead to CWD and other diseases is the fact that the deer are not being hunted enough.
Yep.
So you get the overpopulation, which leads to more contact and more disease spread faster.
Yeah.
I've heard whitetail referred to as a North American hoofed rat.
Yes, I've
And-
referred to them most of my life.
People need to hunt more deer. Whitetail are
it
a
gets
menace.
really difficult though when you get into the built up. It's like when I lived in Ohio. It's why I bought Kat Ainsworth's book on handgun hunting.
Yeah.
Which I just recently repurchased because I'd lost my copy in the move. But I didn't want to hunt with a rifle in Ohio because too many people. Just I wasn't comfortable with doing a rifle in that situation with that many people. So I was looking at either handgun hunting or shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
But it gets real squirrely when you've got suburb after suburb after suburb, and you
No
just
kidding.
can't hunt
No
safely.
kidding. And the deer love suburbs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Whitetail will love them some suburbs, mainly because it's safe. And you can eat petunias till the world looks lovely.
Which is, I mean, and then all the
they're
garden
so-
catalogs are
they're
selling
so
deer-proof plants.
Yeah.
They're so
So-
cute. No, they're not. They're hoofed rats.
Yeah.
And they also taste really good.
Yeah, I would definitely hunt with a 44 Magnum. Frank James hunted with 41 Magnum.
the
Hell, Jim Clark hunted with a damn Model 29 Smith with an 8-inch
no
barrel
kidding. The
and
no-
got a deer every year.
Nice.
Oh,
not,
yeah.
not only are the North American hoofed rat a menace to, well, everybody, not hunting them enough leads to the spread of chronic wasting disease. Insurance companies love the North American hoofed rat.
Yeah.
And they're also running the native mule deer populations off because the North American hoofed rat, the white-tailed deer, is
About as bad as sheep for what it eats.
well, it's also a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
Deer are a browser like a goat. They are
Yeah.
a grazer like the sheep.
They're
But they will graze. They will graze on anything.
Well, yes, but they're
well,
you're much
Yeah.
more likely to have issues with them coming in and eating down all your trees.
Yeah.
but they'll run the mule deer off. The mule deer are bigger,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they're
They're
mule,
outnumbered.
yeah, well, they're much more specialized.
Yeah. Yeah, Lyme disease named for Lyme, Connecticut, where it started. Yes.
Man, if I get an axis, there hasn't been any chronic wasting disease in an axis deer yet, and we've got a sustained axis deer population in Texas, and they're exotic, so there's no hunting season. You can take them year round, and if I can get a spring axis buck or a doe, I like hunting does. I'm not a trophy hunter. I'm a meat hunter.
Yeah.
And a nice fat doe that's been living in a berry patch for the last 6 months is really good eating.
Yeah. Try ones that have been eating a persimmon orchard for. The problem was we shot 67 deer and didn't get a damn one.
Oh man, that sucks.
It was a varmint hunt.
That
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah. Anyway, folks, we've wasted another hour of your time yet again.
And boy, we went all sorts of
Yeah.
we went all sorts of places this time.
Well, at least we got food in a little bit today. We guns and food,
Food,
which go together. Amazing how
yes.
that
When
works.
you're
Venison.
talking about hunting, they do.
venison.
Yeah. And we had a rant from Cedar, so we had a first today.
I've ranted before.
Not often.
Your rants are kind of tame.
Yeah.
I do my best not to lose my temper.
See, that's where you go wrong. All right, folks. Y'all have a good one. Be safe. Enjoy your weekend.
Y'all be safe.
Yeah, squirrel. Thank you, David.
Yeah, we still got we have an invitation to go hunt pronghorns up in Colorado. Actually, a flat shooting rifle, 7mm 8s and a flat shooting rifle.
I've got a flat shooting rifle. I got a couple of them.
So we
I was going to say, I've got a hunting rifle if you want to borrow
we've,
one.
I've got hunting rifles. They're just not what you need for pronghorn. Well, we've been invited to pronghorn and pheasant hunt.
Yeah. And it never came through on either one of them.
Eh, I'll bet if we poach somebody,
Yeah.
pronghorn's good meat.
Yeah.
Done right. Pronghorn's
Freaking
good meat.
speed goat.
Rocket goat is good eating.
Yeah.
Where is CWD spreading? Go to Texas Parks and Wildlife.
Yeah.
They've got 2 big warnings. One is CWD and one is zebra mussels.
Yeah.
The Texas Parks and Wildlife website.
Y'all stay safe. Have a good weekend, folks.
Be safe, guys.
And remember, don't sweat the petty stuff and don't pet the sweaty stuff. See you later. Bye-bye.